Well, you have some experience with Zoom meetings. This is only my second, so this has been an interesting day for me. Our group is growing.
Yeah, so they're slowly getting in there.
Yes.
But, James, I mean, you're more than welcome. If you want to start, either you introduce yourself, or if people would like to introduce themselves. And I'm just quickly gonna go and check on my.
Well, how about I introduce myself
here.
last? That way, there's potentially more people.
Okay, thank you for that, Sharon. 9:55. She has a class online. That's okay. She's in Australia.
Yes.
And then we have Rose. Are you happy to introduce yourself, and then we'll pass it to Aditi while I'll sort out my bits and pieces in the background?
I'm terribly shy, we know that, so it's difficult.
Nice scenery behind you there, mister. Looks nice behind you, Ross. Nice to meet
I'm
you.
looking forward to what you've got to say. I don't really know much about the content. But,
That's okay, neither do I.
Oh.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here. It's amazing how we are literally on opposite sides of the planet and we can chat as though we are in the same room. It's a wondrous thing.
I've been teaching an online class in New York
Okay.
for the last 5 years.
Very good.
Average age 92. And sometimes they get a bit noisy and rowdy, but you know, they're just so used to it. It's amazing.
Fantastic. Now this is pre-Zoom days. How did you manage?
Oh, Zoom.
Yes, yes. Zoom makes it considerably easier, doesn't it?
We did use an app before, but I've actually forgotten what it is.
Yes. Well, this is pretty slick.
We just use the system simply because they have always been at home. They can't get out to the day centres.
Yeah.
So we use this system. Works well. That's all.
It's a great way to connect with those that can't get out. I just 2 hours ago did my first live streamed concert for 2 facilities. But if you had to drive there, it'd be 20 hours away from where I live. They're 2 time zones away in Saskatchewan, Canada. And yeah, my first live streamed concert. Another example of how the internet allows us to reach out and touch somebody. You know, it's an amazing thing. And that's what my work has been largely focused on since the closure of my music business as an entertainer. Obviously with the pandemic, I haven't been able to go into facilities in person. I've done some concerts through the summer, but my focus is now to try to create more live streamed music. And that's certainly one of the things we'll talk about. Who's next? Aditi is waving. Hello. There she is.
Hi,
Hello.
my name is Aditi, and I am a diversional therapist, registered diversional therapist, and also proud to be part of the registration board member.
Very good.
And I work in Wellington. It's lovely to meet you all, and looking forward to your session. So.
Wonderful. How is the weather in Wellington? It's spring there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is. It's beautiful day, sunny and nice.
Very, very good. Here in Canada, it is now the beginning of fall, but we had a really nice day today. But they're talking about cold weather by this time next week, so we're going in opposite directions with the weather, unfortunately.
Right. So thank you. I'm looking forward to your session.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Well, I mean, if you want to start, that's perfectly fine. I have sent people a reminder. Some people, they are still working.
Yes.
Trying to get off the floor to go into their computers. But I'm going to be recording the session.
Very good.
Yeah, so the floor is all yours.
Well, very good. I didn't quite know what format and how you wanted to proceed, whether this was a question and answer or how would you like to proceed?
I think I'm going to just leave it open to you. I think it's more about I mean, your own personal experience and a little bit of what we were talking, how you have to rethink again those connections that you had at the cold face with the recreational therapists, the field of work that you have, and any particular questions that people might have. So it's, like I said, it's all yours.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Well, my work with seniors began quite a long time ago. I was originally a chef, and when I completed my chef's program in 1988, going way back, I entered then what was called the Food Service Supervisor Program, which was a gerontology-focused diet therapy program, which I became a nutritional manager. And there was quite a bit of time between the graduation and my first management position in a retirement home. Like when I say quite a bit of time, I'd say almost 2 decades went by. I just went back to the restaurant industry, and there was lots of work. But eventually I was able to find that full-time job that I really wanted, working with seniors. And I haven't looked back since. So I started as a nutritional manager in a retirement home. And then from there, I went to a long-term care home. And so sort of 2 different sides of the industry. And there's, pretty marked differences, as you all, I'm sure, know, between retirement and long-term care. The amounts of audits and screenings and inputting of information and diet therapy and therapeutic diets, and it goes up significantly when you're dealing with the long-term care residents. So between those 2 experiences, though, I had a good broad spectrum of working with the seniors. And while I was managing those kitchens, I was seeing entertainers come in, and I would often cater their events and make sure they had everything they needed. And I thought to myself, they look like they're having a lot of fun. And I've always been a musician, and I knew some of the music already, and I certainly knew of all the music. I might have had to learn it on the guitar or whatnot, but I knew of all the songs. And so I started putting together my first set list. And it was just about 10 years ago that I played my first concert for seniors. There's a facility about an hour from here in a town called Owen Sound here in Ontario, a place called Hannah Walker Place. And they are credited with hosting me for my first concert for seniors. Since that day, I've played just under 2,000 concerts for seniors. Within 2 years of that first show, I was able to leave the hot kitchen. I've been entertaining full-time all across Canada for fully 8 years now. And all manner of facilities, from long-term care to retirement homes to government-run homes to private homes to not-for-profit homes, senior centers, hospitals. And I realized at the beginning how vast the market was. As a musician, it's not easy to make a living. I always wanted to be a full-time working musician. And when I realized what was laid out in front of me as somebody working in the gerontology related fields, seeing this vast market, I knew that with a little bit of marketing and networking, I should be able to maybe line up enough shows that I could augment my musical income. At that time, I was still playing in bars and restaurants and things like that. But as time went on, I played less and less bars and more seniors' homes. And within just a couple of years, I basically left the public shows completely behind. I regard the seniors' shows as all private because I'm playing in their home, right? And so for about 8 years now, it's almost exclusively what I've done. Probably 98% of my shows have been for seniors in the last quite a long time. And it's been an amazing education. As I've been going along, playing all these shows, many people have told me that I should write a diary, write a blog, make videos about it. And at the beginning, it was all just ideas. But then as as I got a little bit more adept with making movies and all these other ways of sharing what I've learned, I've just been focusing on trying to not just play those concerts and leave and say goodbye and keep this experience to myself. There's so much that I've learned that I want to share it. And that's the main purpose of my YouTube channel. I don't know how many of you have seen my channel, but it's called Jimmy's Old Time Radio Show. You saw that in the title of the Zoom meeting. Jimmy's Old Time Radio Show is on YouTube. And as regularly as I can, I'm making content. And this content has taken on a pretty important meaning suddenly with the pandemic closing everybody down 6 months ago. All of a sudden, there's nothing really left for a musician to do or for a diversional therapist to do. You can't have me come and visit you in person. So how else are you going to provide music? I mean, there's lots of ways of doing it, but my hope is that somebody that's been connected to the industry can virtually attend your facility and play concerts and then share all this with seniors everywhere. And as I was just bragging a few minutes ago, I just finished 2 hours ago, I just finished my very first live streamed virtual concert for some residents in Saskatchewan here in Canada. So this has been a really exciting virtual day for me. I'll pause there and see if you have anything you want to interject with.
I think I would like to ask, how did you engage through the concerts with people of hospital level care? The reason why I'm asking this, I do have my own perceptions, and I do believe that a lot of things can be done, but I suppose what I'm asking is, do you rely on the recreational therapist to support you to make that breakthrough when you are delivering the sessions, or is it left just onto you to facilitate the engagement?
Yes, I understand the question. That's an excellent question, because every show, every facility, every recreation manager is unique. And that's probably one of the things I enjoy about what I do, is that literally every day my job is different. So to answer your question, it's different with every show. Now, in a retirement home setting, often they're ambulatory, some of them still drive. There's not too much hospital level care interaction. But then, of course, when you get into the long-term care, I had an amazing kind of epiphany in a long-term care home. One of my first, at the beginning of my tenure as a musician, this is when my eyes were really opened, and your question relates to this. There was a fella in my audience. It was just a small place, again in Owen Sound, coincidentally. I might have had a dozen residents in the room, and there was this little old fella, kind of slumped over in his chair, unresponsive. And even the staff told me that, he doesn't really say much. So I was singing away, playing my show. And he had a Kleenex box on his lap. And the next thing I knew, he was tapping along to the rhythm. And then he started talking. And then he started singing along. And the staff said that they'd never seen him do that before. And I've had many instances like that since, where residents that seem to be unresponsive have perked up and participated in a music program. And that for me has been what's really opened my eyes. Sometimes the recreation managers will assist with that communication, but I'd say more times than not, once they realize that I've worked with seniors, that I'm capable, I'm not intimidated or shy, I'm able to interact with them, they usually just let me do my thing. After they've heard a couple of songs, they know, okay, this guy's done it before. And so the rapport between the residents and I is kind of up to the residents and I, and they just give me that warm feeling, as I'm sure you all can attest to. They're adults, they're human beings. You can relate to them like just normal people. they might be a little older than us, and they might have their conditions and their issues, but you can treat them like people. And when you do, and you give them that respect and just talk to them and just interact with them naturally and without, treating them like children or whatever, they really respect that. And I think that's been the basis of my rapport with seniors is being able to just have a little fun with them. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Have you guys have any questions from a different point of view, Sharon, Rose, or Aditi? Because obviously it's I mean, this is like an open session, just so that you can feel comfortable about it. I do remember when I was working at the coalface, because mainly my job now is about mentoring and coaching and training new diversional therapists in New Zealand. But I used to have managers complaining about the entertainers.
Okay.
And the reason of that was that they have set up this unrealistic expectation that they were paying for a service, and they suddenly expected people in long-term care to fully be engaged just during one concept, right? When it's obviously unrealistic, but they also thought that it was okay. So the entertainer is not good, or I'm not. What I'm paying is not worth for it. But I think the missing link, and it was great because I got a chance to actually talk with the managers about that, is that you sometimes need someone to facilitate those connections. Like, you do have your skills, like in this case, obviously your concepts, right? You know what you're doing, but at the same time, you have another group of people that you're coming to visit that you probably have never met in your life. Yeah. And yeah. And then who is actually bridging that connection on the day, in the moment. So have you ever encountered anything like that? Or also, I mean, in your view, because obviously you are national in Canada, and I think that's what it's quite amazing that you are here with us, because in New Zealand we have like just the entertainers of this local area and the entertainers of this local area, while you actually have gone all over the country basically, and you fully comprehend the area, and you kind of already know how to build those reports. But have you ever encountered anything like that when you started?
For sure. When I started, every facility was a new facility. And always, whenever I play a first show at a facility, I try to bring my best show, obviously, because I'm not just there to perform for the residents. I'm there to keep my job as well. I'm trying to impress the recreation manager by engaging those residents. As time, though, has gone by, I play less and less new facilities and more facilities that I've been to repeatedly. There are some facilities here in Ontario that I've played 30, 40, even 50 times now. And when you visit a place regularly, like there's a couple that I visit monthly even, you really get to know the residents. They recognize me, obviously, when I walk in the room, those that are still, in the audience repeatedly. And it's just fantastic to be able to build up that rapport and actually become a friend and have a relationship with these people. But then when there's the occasional new facility, like I had one this week, which was really remarkable during a pandemic to have a new facility. But it was, again, one of those moments where I wanted to particularly make an effort to impress the audience and the manager as I strive to come back and visit again. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. And how did you, how, because sometimes we just think about our point of view, but how did you manage knowing that you were not going to be present, but now you will have to do it online? Because I think, I mean, even now, it probably will be pretty more awesome to see you all guys face to face and over a cup of coffee, right? But we're here on Zoom and I can only see you through the camera. So how, from your perspective, found the engagement through the camera and actually not being there, to maybe come close to someone and, you know, prompt them to sing the song along. How do you manage that?
I had a little conversation about this with my technician. I have a young tech wizard that helped me get online and make sure everything was working. Right out of college, he's a bright young fella. And after the show, I was describing my experience to him, because it is different to sing to a camera, obviously. But what I did today is I played what I call my A list, all my best songs. And so, you know, I've played some of these songs hundreds of times. And there's more to just the song. Like, each song has a story and it has a few little jokes. And I have this sort of dialogue that is woven in with the repertoire. And so I just simply played my show as though the audience was there in front of me. I would look at that camera, but I would try to remember that I'm looking at that little town in Rosetown, Saskatchewan. There's actually people there. And a little bit of visualization, I guess, helped me to make it a more sincere dialogue. Now, obviously, I couldn't hear if they were giggling or laughing or singing or clapping, but I have a good imagination, and I just hoped that they were having fun, and I just went about my business. There you go.
Oh, that's good. Have you guys got any questions? Otherwise, I'm just going to keep talking.
Look, I'd like to ask you, James, one of the things I notice in some of this stuff is there's a huge difference between what I'd call performance and interaction.
Yes.
Where people appear, they've got a list of songs, sometimes even a list of things they're going to do. They just work their way through it, it's over, and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you actually do to change that?
That's a very interesting question, because I've put a lot of thought into the interaction part of it. It became fairly immediately clear to me that it's not just about the music, it's about the interaction. So a number of things that I try to do. When I watch other entertainers, often you see them, you know, they're performing and the music stand is, you know, right in front of their face. And so if you have the music stand right there, if you're reading the words, you're not feeling the words. So for me, it's important to try to have most, if not all, of my songs fully memorized, so that I can concentrate on just the performance and the feeling and the room and be able to look around, interact, look at people's eyes. So that for me is critical, to be able to put away the lyrics sheets. And again, the matter of the dialogue in between the songs, I've, you know, once in a while I'll stumble upon a little joke or something, and I'll find that that little comment worked, and so and so. And so that permanently becomes part of my repertoire. And each song basically has some amble built in around it. And so the show, even though I might have played that song 500 times, it's still sincere to that resident sitting in the room, because that's their first time maybe hearing me sing it. Doesn't matter how many times I know I've sang it. I know that person could be hearing it for the very first time for me. So that's, for me, it's quite easy to keep it sincere and honest. Hope that answers your question.
Does.
I'm thinking that
Hi.
Because you're a performer, I think it probably comes easier. I just put a note up there that I'm with a little place called Barrie every week with Toastmasters, Barrie in Ontario. So I jumped when you said Ontario.
I live 2 hours from Barrie, yes.
You?
I live 2 hours from Barrie.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I'm on with Barrie every Friday night. And one thing we learn in Toastmasters is that we've got to be larger than life when we're on Zoom. And if you just talk away like you normally talk
Yes.
away, it doesn't work. And I'm thinking, do you find you're even larger? I mean, you're talking like a Toastmaster, you're doing everything. As a
I'm familiar
performer,
with
that must
Toastmasters.
come automatically, mustn't it? So that you can be larger than life and get that effect across.
I'm not shy. That helps. And I've worked in management for so many years. Basically, since I started working, I was always thrust into management roles. So you learn to put away those inhibitions, I guess, and you learn to just speak up. And I just found that the seniors are so easy to interact with. That's my personal experience anyway, that I do try to bring energy. I've had a lot of recreation managers that have said, I bring energy. And to me, I just feel like I'm just doing I've always been a kind of an energetic person, I guess. So, but yeah, larger than life. I really like that phrase. It's show business. And even though it's maybe just a little nursing home, it's still show business. And I try to make sure that I've left a good impression, that everybody's had a good time. I hope that answers your question.
James, you call it show business. Sharon, you call it larger than life.
Yeah.
My visualization is that video cameras steal 10% of my personality. I don't suppose it matters what our idea is, but that idea of just conveying that energy, that takes a lot to do.
That's where larger than life comes in. You've got to get that 10% by putting 10% more of you into it. And even though it feels like it's exaggerated, it doesn't come over that way on the camera.
I spent a lot of time. I spent my whole life studying the Lawrence Welk Show and the Ed Sullivan Show and other programs like that. Back in the golden days of television, when there was real people playing real music on television. And you look at Lawrence Welk. Put up your hand if you're familiar with Lawrence Welk. None of you are. If you can remember this, jot it down, the Lawrence Welk Show. Go on YouTube and you will see one of the people that inspired me. He broadcast every week from Hollywood, I guess, and specialized in the classics. And that for me is sort of what I model my show by, is the Lawrence Welk Show. It's a bygone era. I hope to bring it back. But I look at Lawrence Welk. He was probably in his 70s, but he didn't look as though he was low energy or boring. I was enthralled by his program. And it's just the way that he delivered his energy with professionalism, with confidence, with a surety of himself, and then with just the quality of the programs and the professionalism that he had working with them. Yeah, you have to bring that extra 10%. That's a really good point.
I think it's just a way that you think it through. So whether it's Sharon's larger than life or it's show business, I've pinched this from the clown doctors, but I used to put it beside the camera.
I like the way it's going in and out there.
Isn't that, and there's this whole clever algorithm that goes in and out, but yes. I just think that's what the selection of your music, James, that's what I'm interested in. Where
okay.
How is it that some things get into some playlists in some places and not others?
So my repertoire is based upon the requests of seniors themselves. When I started, I had to kind of just make do with what I already knew, and I tried to guess at what songs I should play. But obviously, I'm going to focus on the classics. But then as I played more and more concerts, I always had a notepad with me, and anytime a song was requested, I would always jot it down. And over time, I would see that some songs were repeated over and over again. So today, I played my first live stream concert, and I played mostly from my A list. So included in my repertoire today were songs like The Tennessee Waltz, Crystal Chandelier, I played You Are My Sunshine. I played a song called Red River Valley. It's a Western Canadian song because I was focused on Western Canada Day. And just songs that the seniors themselves have requested. And I know that if I get it asked more than once, that it's got to be a good one.
Are we going to be able to hear you singing?
Yes. I don't know about right
Not to
here,
put you
right
on the spot, but
good. My guitar, I just have to get it. What I would recommend, though, is that everybody go to Jimmy's Old Time Radio Show on YouTube. Make sure you click subscribe because it makes me good when you do.
Done that already.
Yes, thank you so much. And I have about 130 videos there right now. And you could look at today's live stream. It's the one right at the top. It's called my inaugural live stream. You can see what I did just 3 hours ago today. And then you can hear me sing rather than bore you now with it.
sounds awesome. Hey, what about the new generation? How are you going to go around music? Like, for example, I'm going to give you a silly example, okay? So let's say I'm in Canada, something happens to me, and then you have to go into the care home that is, for YPD, younger people, and I'm there. So I probably would like to hear You Are My Sunshine.
It's an interesting thing because there's a small percentage of audience members that are not seniors. I mean, the average age is probably 85, but there are some that maybe have been in a traumatic motor vehicle accident or something, and they need long-term care, and they're only in their 30s or 40s. And they don't tend to stick around. Some do, some just appreciate good music. But I often do I always ask them, what do you want to hear? If they say something from the Beatles or something like that, a little more current, Gordon Lightfoot, things like that, if I know it, I'll make sure I'll play that young person a song. Or at the very best, if somebody has a request and I don't know it, I always assure them that I will write it down, I'll print it off, and I'll add it to my homework pile. I've always got a pile of homework. And hopefully the next time I visit, I'll play that song for somebody. That's a whole other subject too. Like, I often try to get these new old songs into my repertoire.
Yes.
Because I know that my time is kind of limited.
Yes.
I've had requests before that I've gone home and I've made the effort to learn the song, and I show up again a couple of months later and that person is gone. And that it really drives home the value of that moment.
What about, so we have a question in there. Aditi, you're welcome to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was thinking, what, like, if a person is having advanced dementia or any cognitive decline and unable to say that, what songs do they like to hear? Because as you said that you hear the request, but how about that they cannot speak for themselves? So,
Sometimes they have no voice box and they can't. Yeah, there's many reasons why a person may not be able to actually ask. In a case like that, sometimes I can get help from the manager in the room. Sometimes it's just an impairment that I'm not used to. They have some functional, like a stroke or whatever, where they just simply can't speak clearly. And if they're new to me, I might not be able to fully understand. But the recreation manager, perhaps he or she is familiar with that person's slur or whatever. And sometimes they're able to help me clarify what the person is telling me. And that's an interesting point, because it's frustrating not only for the resident, but it's a little bit stressful when you're trying to make that effort to understand what this person is straining to tell you, and you can see that it means something to them. They made the effort to call you over, and they're struggling to get the words out. And I've learned to just slow myself down, get down to their level. I often like to, if they're in a wheelchair, I'll get on one knee. I often joke that I'm proposing to them. And, I try to get on their level and slow down and give them that opportunity. And even if I'm not successful at fully understanding what they're saying, I at least want them to know that I made the effort. And I don't know if we lost Aditi there during that long explanation, but I at least try to give the effort so they know that I've tried.
I don't know about you, Sharon, but if I got down on one knee, I'd never get back up.
It's harder every day.
James, what I do with my bus when I'm taking people out is I spend a lot of time with their date of birth. Why I'm saying that is when I watched the film Alive Inside, which is about using music in this way, it didn't trigger anything till I actually did what they suggested, which is to work out, and I did it for myself first, because if you ask me, I said, oh no, I like classical music, thanks very much. Its suggestion was, have a look at what was popular when you were 20 years old.
Exactly.
And that had a different impact on me altogether.
Yeah.
Now,
critical point.
Isn't that odd?
For me, it was obvious right from the beginning that I need to play what they want to hear. That's my job, is to play what they want to hear, not what I want to play. So I know that when you're young, let's say 20, that's sort of when you're at your emotional musical peak. The music that you listen to as a young person, that sort of sticks with you for the rest of your life. So if somebody is 85 now, what was popular 65 years ago? And I've literally done a graph where I've taken all the years of all the songs.
Yes.
And for me, the peak right now is the 1950s. And I love those songs, and particularly because I love to see the response. Like again, the Tennessee Waltz, Crystal Chandelier, those are all songs that came from that peak. And that peak is going to move forward in time,
Yes, that's the interesting bit.
It is.
It doesn't for the person, but
Right.
It does for us if we're supplying it. Sharon, do you remember when musical hits when you were 20?
Not really so much. We've got the ones that James has mentioned in Tennessee Waltz and all that, we've got on my partner's repertoire in the car when we go places. And I guess we're heading for that age group that, nearly 70. So, we're heading towards, speaking for myself anyway, Ross, I don't know how old you are.
I tell you what,
we are heading towards the same.
I'm not going to make any admission, but
they enjoy. Yeah. So, Crystal Chandeliers I particularly like. We often play that one. And the Tennessee Waltz. Yeah.
I have about 200 songs in my regular rotation, and then probably another 200 more in my homework pile. But the majority come from the 40s, 50s, and 60s right now.
What is the length of time that you believe is the best engagement time when you are doing a concert? The reason why I'm asking, it's because sometimes, once again, people have this wrong assumption that the concert it has to be 2 hours, or it has to be an hour. And but sometimes the people that you are delivering the concert with might not be able to stand there for that long. So in your professional view, from the, looking with a different perspective, which one do you believe is actually a good length of time for concerts?
Well, I've done a statistical analysis of my shows. I took 3 years. Like I have my calendar always. This is my day timer. I keep all my concerts in my day timers. So I went back I took 3 of my busiest years just recently, and I did a statistical analysis of what days were the most popular, what times of day, and how long, and so on. So here's what I learned. The most popular days of the week are Tuesday and Thursday. They're fairly tied.
Yeah, that it was.
Wednesday is also very popular. Monday and Friday, less so, because they're just busy days in the facility. Mondays, you're starting your week. Fridays, you're ending your week. And then weekends, unfortunately, there's less music again because of staffing. Typically, the managers aren't there. They don't have as many people to porter residents. So it's unfortunate that weekends kind of tail off. The most popular time of day is 2 p.m. 36% of my programs are at 2 p.m.
Mhm.
And then another, I think, 10 or 12% are at 2:30. So almost 50% of my shows are in the afternoon. And then 7 p.m. is the next most popular. I think there's about almost 20% at 7 p.m. So generally on a typical day for me, I'll play 2 shows, one middle of the afternoon and then one, between 6:30, 7 o'clock. And that's a typical day for me, normally 2 a day. And as for length of show, 98% of my shows for seniors are 1 hour long. I can, of course, play as long as they like. Occasionally, I get asked to play longer, but typically, because of the stamina for the seniors, after an hour, they're ready to take a break. There's been the odd occasion, though, where I was playing, say, for a Christmas bazaar, and there's people coming and going, or an outdoor barbecue during the summertime, a longer event. Those are kind of fun to get to play a little longer. And then I usually stretch out the songs a bit too. When I play a 1 hour show, I try to pack in as much as I can. I try to play as many songs as I can without appearing rushed, of course. But I just omit the long passages between choruses and verses. I try to kind of stick to the song and keep them maybe 2.5, 3 minutes long, and then a little bit of banter and move right on to the next one. So those are good questions. Thank you.
That's
Yeah.
really good information, and it actually makes sense. Yeah, because Monday is like, out of the weekend, everyone trying to get back to normal per se, normal routines. And Tuesdays and Thursdays, it's pre-hump day and post-hump day. Hump day is Wednesday.
But I had to look at the statistics to see if what I was thinking was real, and it is real. In fact, I'm going to be recording a video in the next couple days. I hope to have it come out on Tuesday. It's going to be called 200 Days, because on Tuesday will be 200 days since I shut down my business due to COVID-19. And in this video, I'm planning on talking about those statistics. I've actually got it sort of set up. So look for that video. It's going to be called 200 Days, and I'll be going a little bit more detail into those statistics. So yeah, fascinating stuff, really.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm just going to quickly read some of the things that have been on the chat. Okay, so those ones were from Sharon. Toastmasters. Let's see. The Music Alive Inside. Thank you, Ross. Has everyone seen Black Daisies for the Bride?
No, I haven't. I'll have to chase that down, Sharon.
No.
Yeah, I used to have people walking out because I lectured at Massey before I came over here. And I used to use it. It didn't affect the students so much, but when I did in the holidays for extramural students and the adults came down, I'd have people leave the room in tears. I'm not sure if that was good or bad. It obviously got the message across, though. It's an incredible message for getting across what I'm guessing is probably a similar message to Alive Inside. Have any of you seen it?
No, I'm going to have a look.
No, but I'll have a look.
I think you can still get it. I actually donated my copy to the facility that I teach yoga at now.
Great.
Yeah, it's really worth watching. Very, very good.
I think Aditi had a question, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I actually was wanted to say the things which you said about the days. I wanted to say about the experience which I had in different days. Like I do some bookings for entertainments for our residents, and then I mostly booked like 3 o'clock because in dementia household, because we think that that's a sundowning time. So it really works well. And then I try to do in the weekends because that's the time, and because for us we think that every day is equal and important for them.
That's how I feel too.
So weekends we actually put more concerts.
Very good.
And so that they will enjoy. And then Friday as well, for the happy hour, we put concerts there as well. And then we also try sometimes morning, like 10:30 because you will see so many people in there. Afternoon, so many people, we try that if they are feeling a bit sleepy, we don't leave them in the lounge. If they're feeling sleepy, we take them to the bed. That's what we feel. They need to relax afternoon. If they are feeling a bit sleepy, they need to go to bed. And if we will have very less people in the lounge in the afternoon. If we tell them, okay, there's a concert, because it's and being on a hospital household, there are residents mostly who cannot walk, mostly on the lazy boy chair. So, and rest is very important, afternoon nap, so that sometimes in that particular household, we will be having concerts from 1 to 2 or 1:30 to 2:30. But then we try in the morning time as well, and sundowning is the main. Yeah, and weekends. So
Morning is often overlooked. I think only 3% of my shows are in the morning, which is really unfortunate because they go over really well. It's a great way to start the day, and it gets everybody between breakfast and lunch, and it just gives some flow to the day. And I really appreciate what you said about the having music on the weekends. You're obviously one of the progressive ones, and with a strong emphasis on music. And that, of course, means a lot to me as an entertainer. So keep up that good work. Some recreation managers are sort of stuck in their ways, and we only do music on Wednesday at 2:00, and that's all they do. But there are some residents that maybe just don't want to come down on a Wednesday afternoon. But if you had it on a Friday night or a Monday morning, you might get a different spectrum of residents come and attend.
Thank you very much, Aditi and James, because you've just given me a bit of more force behind what I'm planning to do. 7 years ago, when I was actually working at Trinder Park here, I used to give them a yoga class. And even though I was working there just as a care assistant then, I'd still do a yoga class with them on a Saturday evening before dinner. And it was fantastic. And then when I left and wasn't there on the weekends, they put me in for Thursday mornings at 9:00, I think 8:30 or something. But it's not as good. So now we've had 6-7 months without any. When I am able to go back in, I'm going to push my side of it and say I'd like to come on the Saturday night at 4:30 like I used to do 7 years ago. And they even though it meant that I was off the floor doing things, they liked it because I had everybody down there and was keeping them all occupied. So I'm hoping that that'll go down well, and you guys have given me just a bit more positivity about that now, because I thought my idea was good that when I had it, but you confirmed it. Thank you.
Like this, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, there was like we enjoy in the weekends, more all the time. So if we think in that perspective, that how they used to enjoy their life, they used to work as well Monday to Friday, and then enjoying the weekends. So just keeping that enthusiasm for them as well. Yeah.
James, what about your work in areas where there's considerable numbers of people from different cultural backgrounds?
Yes. I live about 2.5 hours north of Toronto, the most culturally diverse city in North America. Unfortunately, I don't go into the big city very often, simply because of the traffic. It's a pain to just try to negotiate all that traffic and show up 2 hours early just to find a parking spot, and so on. Most of my shows are not in Toronto. So I don't see as much culturally diversion, cultural perspective as maybe I would like to. There's been some interesting experiences though. Like I found sometimes they might not know the song. If maybe there's somebody Japanese in the audience, they might not know the Tennessee Waltz. Or if I'm singing a Christian song, somebody that is a Sikh might not know that Christian song. And there's all kinds of examples where the diversity of the room makes me try to pick the songs that are more middle of the road, nothing too fringe, nothing too, pinpoint. And just try to pick the songs like Elvis Presley, you can sing for just about anybody. Everybody knows Elvis. So yeah, when I have culturally diverse crowds, I just try to keep it as simple as I can.
Teresa Tung is the Chinese equivalent to Elvis Presley.
Who is?
Teresa Tung. They go crazy about her. She's like a saint.
There's one other point I wanted to make for Aditi and what we were talking about with your interest in providing music throughout the week. And I so agree with you, Aditi, that I always say that they have long days to fill. They don't know Monday or Friday or Saturday. Well, they know what day it is, hopefully, but they don't care that the staff maybe aren't working on Saturday. They want something to do. Every day they deserve the same amount of engagement, whether or not our work schedules coincide or not. We, especially as recreationists, we are the ones that really have that commitment to making sure that they are engaged on those slower days and other difficult days too, like Christmas and holidays where there's less staff. These are critical days where we have to bring in entertainment and provide some means to keep them occupied because they have long days to fill.
That's fantastic. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you, James. Definitely. It's all about music. Music is a pathway through our souls and our hearts.
Yes, I see it every day.
So if anyone else have any questions, or James, if you have any more comments.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You folks are on the other side of the planet. You'll notice the windows behind me are black now, by the way.
Yes.
It's nighttime here. If I was to ever do a concert for you in New Zealand and in Australia,
yes,
I would have to broadcast here from the middle of the night, probably, for me to play for you at 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But would any of you folks be interested in having a designated live stream concert? What I would love to do is get as many facilities as I can, of course, across New Zealand and Australia. So I'm going to leave that up to you to put the feelers out. But let's plan on having an international seniors party. I think it would be amazing.
Totally. I mean, if you are happy to be awake.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we will be very happy. And I'll give you an example. We did, not in the place that I'm working now, but in my previous role, we organized international Skype concerts before Zoom was, was it. So we used to organize, so our residents will practice some songs, and then we will liaise with someone in China or someone in the UK, and then we will sing the songs to them, maybe 7 p.m. in New Zealand. So it was, I think, 9 a.m. in the UK or something like that. I think, it's great.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of setting up. In technical sense, sure, time takes a while.
Yeah.
And some facilities, you probably need a bit of a practice first.
Oh, yes, a lot of practice.
Some of the places I go to, their Wi-Fi is quite locked down.
Yeah.
There are practical things like that you do.
Every
But
facility.
once you put over that, it's all fine.
Yeah.
For those that can do it, let's do it.
Let's do it. So I'll put it out there for
I think it'd be fun.
New Zealand DTs.
We'll let it percolate for a month or two, and then we'll set a date.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Days and times, fantastic. But look,
exciting,
all that I can say from me, James, is look, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it. It's been fantastic just having this formal session, but also get to hear things from your perspective, which is something that I don't think normally we will do. But also from the perspective of someone that has been across a whole country, not like what we have, which is just the local entertainers.
Which are very important, of course.
Yeah. And I think I would just like to invite you to start thinking about that multicultural approach to music and diversity at the same time, but also age. Like, definitely, I don't even know a lot of the songs that you guys were talking about.
Here's a multicultural song. I don't think you can
I've
hear
got
that.
I've got a Lebanese. She's I don't know. I have no idea what her name is, and the music is very unusual to my eyes. I just see the Arabic client, older clients, just respond to her.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope she's singing something decent, but who knows? I just see what happens with people.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear this. I'm playing you a little song right now. It's the Maori theme song. Now is the hour. Famous in New Zealand and Australia. See my printed out notes here. This is what my lyric sheets look like. And as I was going,
for New Zealand, I'd probably recommend that you learn how to do Pokare Kareana.
can you send me a list?
I'll send you a list. I'll send you a list.
It's the same song, but in Maori, James. New Zealand people get a bit odd about that stuff.
I can imagine. Thank you so much, friends. It was really nice to chat with you.
Thank you so much, James. You have a great day. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.